Okay.
Here we go.
Just to keep, great, thank you. Just to keep us on track, let's go ahead and start. Ashley, do you want to call the meeting
Well,
to order?
yep. Daniel said he'll be here in 2 minutes.
Oh,
Um,
should we wait?
You can call to order and then
let's call to order. Then he'll be in the waiting room. All right. Monday, December 18th, 5:37 p.m. Let's begin.
Sounds great. What I'm gonna do, I think it would make sense, I think, is to share my screen. Is that okay? And then I'll put the main agenda on and um let me get that open. We'll see, the connection's been a bit sketchy. I'm sorry. It's going very slowly, but it is opening. I thought I had everything all good to go. Well, maybe we should just start with something else. Maybe I think I'll start with something else. Okay, we should just start with the budget. Is that all right, Ashley? It'll take me a minute. I can get that Word document to open, but it'll just take me a minute. Is that okay?
Yeah, totally. I have the agenda open if that's helpful.
Oh, yeah, well,
but it's just the first thing is approval of last meeting's minutes, which we can't really do, but financial report from Laura. So the review of the financial statements.
I think that, again, let's start with the most important thing,
Yeah.
which if you don't mind, and I'll keep working on, oops, wait, there's Daniel. Let me get him in.
Nice.
If that's okay for you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi, Daniel. So I will share my screen. So can you guys see the budget notes? Great. So unfortunately, Laura is not available for this meeting. That's actually kind of good news because she is definitely supposed to be off and on vacation, having worked a huge amount this year. And so I'm just sharing my screen. My thought is that I will share these highlights for you. And then I'm happy to scroll through the detailed budget so that if you have more questions, we can answer them. And Daniel has seen the detailed budget. Daniel, would you like to comment on that before I go on?
Yeah, I have seen the detailed budget. I did, note some of the changes, although I am not sure about comprehensively everything that had occurred. So I'm sure we're going to go through some of that. But it looked good. I did some spot checks. Everything seemed good, and I'm really happy to hear that Matt Stanley was able to go to bat for us and bring in some more money for Adirondack Harvest and programs such as that. So all
Yes,
in all, the budget looks good to me. As I said, I'm just wanted to ask some questions about where we feel we are with actually recognizing the revenue that's projected.
I'm gonna do that in just a minute. It looks
I
like
figured
now
as much.
my battery is about to die, so hang
Oh
on. I'm gonna
no.
go plug in just a sec. You can look at those budget notes on the screen while I'm talking. Good. Okay. Okay, now I won't lose you. So, for 2024, we are requesting a budget of $1,342,192. In August, y'all approved a preliminary budget of $1,197,000, which is what we submit to the Board of Supervisors. And that included transfers of about 129,354 from designated funds. So the final budget that we're proposing is about 145,000 higher than what we submit to the Board of Supervisors in August. And it includes about $30,000 less in transfers. And to answer one of your questions, Daniel, the county did approve the amount that we requested and so increased our appropriation. So that 345,000 is an increase from last year with a really nice bonus for Adirondack Harvest Festival because of the success of the event. So that's a total of about a third of our budget, a little bit more than a third of our budget. This is about a $200,000 increase from 2023. And it only includes revenue that we have been awarded, even though some of it's not under contract. And the contracts, it's a process through the state and federal government. Actually, they're federal, it's all federal money, and it just takes a long time to go through the contracting process. But that money is secure. We don't have our year-end projections done for 2023 because we're not through the end of the year. But I know that some people are concerned about transferring from designated funds. We do expect a net increase to the designated funds, but we won't have all that info until probably our January meeting at the earliest. Our 2023 expenses will definitely be lower than what was budgeted, especially in payroll, because Jessica was finished in July and we have not replaced her position. So payroll is definitely going to be lower. And so you will have the opportunity to designate any of the excess revenue from 2023 into the designated funds if you choose to do that, or as a cushion for unexpected increases in expenses. I think we did a good job budgeting, so I'm not concerned about that. And again, there's Jackie. Hi, Jackie. I'm gonna keep going. So I know that, again, the designated funds, 97,000 sounds like a lot to be using from our designated funds. Again, Laura is projecting that at the end of 2023, there will be a net increase. So we have to budget to balance the budget, but we do expect that those will go up. And if you include the $97,000 in transfers, it would leave about 410,000 in our designated funds. That's about 30.5% of our 2024 annual budget. And just in the next line, you can see my goal is to really increase the balance in our designated funds, but it's not necessary to do that. It's just a safety net for the organization as a whole. I don't expect it to happen. I mean, that would happen logically over 5 years maybe, and we don't know what our annual budget will be at that time, but solid 410,000 feels pretty good in designated funds after making the 97,000 in transfers if we need them in 2024. Also, about 53,000 of the $97,000 for 2024 that we budgeted for transfers is for the Adirondack Harvest website work, which you all already approved. That was earlier this year, and that work is underway. So we would be paying. That's what some of that. That's over half of the transfers. And I'll share with you in just a minute what the actual transfer amounts, the funds, the designated funds look like. Laura balanced out the 2024 budget with a transfer from the general fund because we have enough in grant funding to cover almost all salaries. And so there was no need to use the designated fund for salary improvement as of now. And again, just keeping in mind that transfers are only made if they're needed. If we do have unbudgeted revenue, at the end of the year, you would not have to make those transfers or authorize them. Well, you're authorizing them when you approve this budget, but they wouldn't be made and they would be rolled forward. Any excess revenue would be rolled forward. And the only individual designated fund that might go down in 2023 is the 4-H Youth Development Fund. And we did that because the balance was over 20,000, which seemed kind of high for one program. So because we did have a comfortable amount in the other program funds, I asked them to try and spend some of those down so their money is being used instead of just sitting there. So that's those are my notes. I want to do one more thing, if it's okay, just to go through what the designated funds look like. And then if I wanted to give you a chance to, if you want to look at the detailed budget or ask more questions about the specifics of the budget. So again, I know that these designated funds are definitely a point, a concern. And Daniel, do you have any? I did send this to you about half an hour ago, but I know that was pretty last minute. I didn't get all the details till quite late. But and do you anybody want to take a look at this or have questions? It basically shows in the first column in red is what is currently in the designated funds. This is what we're proposing to transfer, including that almost 5,400 for the website work. And that was what the ending balance would be, presuming that we need to make all the transfers that are in the budget for 2024.
Elizabeth, what are you showing us?
Oh, you can't see that. Oh, let me change. I'm sorry,
you.
hold on.
Thank you, Lori.
Yep. Yep. Okay, good. Yeah, I need you to let me know if I'm in the wrong screen for sure. I did switch screens. This one. Thank you. Sorry for getting ahead. Forgot to switch. So this is the one I was just discussing. This is the summary of the designated funds. Yeah, so this is what their balances roughly will be at the end of this year. Actually, pretty accurately, because I don't think we'll have any transfers for you at the end of 2023. And if anything, there will be transfers to some of these funds, what we're expecting. And in this column, the transfer from designated funds includes that 5,400 or roughly 54,000, sorry, for the Harvest New York. I mean, oh my goodness, for the website. If at the end of 2023, there may be some entries in this column, don't know yet, but if there are not, there's still that solid remainder in the designated funds. Any more questions about what I've said so far? Okay. If there aren't any, I'll stop sharing that screen and I'll go to the budget sheet that gives the detail. Daniel, did you have any comments that you want to make at all?
Not at this time.
Okay. Okay. So this screen shows the detailed budget. I'm going to have to move your faces around a little bit, so that I can use the scroll bar. To the top. So it's quite long. It's 10 pages. So I can kind of go highlights, or Daniel, would you like to do any part of this? Or you want me to keep talking?
Please proceed. I guess, when I looked through it, again, I did some spot checks, like I looked at, I tried to look more at the programs, the way it's currently set up. I understand why Laura has it the way she does, based on the accounts as opposed to, um, by program. But so I looked at, for instance, our Adirondack Harvest Fest to go back and forth and make sure that the revenues matched the expenses. So I don't know if there are any particular programs people want to take a look at in specifically, or if they're just highlights that you want to cover, Elizabeth, that reflect some of the changes. I know since we last saw it, there've been a number of them, but if you want to cover just the highlights, the ones that you think will be most important for us to know about, I'm fine with that approach too.
Does anybody have any specific questions about a specific program, or you'd like me to explain? I'm not going to lie, this is a very long and detailed budget, and I think last year we did provide it to you in summary format, so you did have, it was a little bit easier to digest, and I will ask Laura to do that again in the future, because I find this a little overwhelming, 10 pages of detail, but it is also kind of the way it comes out of our software. It's a special report to distill it down. So we can do that in the future if this is too confusing. If no one has any specific program questions, I'll forge ahead. Okay. So this first section is revenues. And they, in most categories, they're pretty self-explanatory. I think the thing to do is read this thing called, well, either way, these are the categories of accounts, but this is what the stuff is actually for. So some things that are pretty notable, that fringe is all provided by Cornell, which is pretty amazing. And the, so these are the county appropriation is going to cover, it covers some of those increases for Adirondack Harvest Festival. And a bunch of the administrative, we put as much as we can for our appropriation into unrestricted programming, so we can use it to cover gaps. If, say, for example, if someone salary is paid, 3/4 of it is paid out of grants, the other quarter would come out of that appropriation. These NERM, Northeast Risk Management Education, is a new grant. CBNHP is Champlain Valley National Heritage Partnership. Also, those are new grants. Farmers Market Promotion Plant, FMPP, is also a new grant, and that's the first year of 3 years. The total of that FMPP grant is 500,000, or just under 500,000. And what's great about this is that some of our other grants, the LFPP grant, that was 3 years, and the DEC Smart Growth Grant, that was 3 years, right, Lori? 3 years also. Both of those are coming to an end. So the timing of this is great to have this be coming in at this time. Most of there's a couple other small CBNHP grants that are, these are ones that haven't been contracted, but they're small little discrete projects. One's for a display for the fair, and one is for history of agriculture in Essex County. Some of these smaller ones we're still expecting to get. The 4-H standard grant goes to 4-H. And then, thank you, Chrissy, we will continue our contract with the Office for the Aging. And we also do a program that generates a little money for that Office for the Aging program. That's a contract with the county. And the Oasis program is a contract with the school district. A couple of the rest of these will look familiar. There's, yeah, they're all, these are all small grants. Then one of the things that's exciting that will be new as a result of that FMPP grant is that we'll have we're strengthening and expanding the Pop Club at the farmers markets. So you'll see expenses, revenue from those grants also, and from the Adirondack Foundation, we have money for some programming as well. Sorry, it jumps in large segments. Again, most of what you see down here are program related, youth development, master gardener program, different aspects of the 4-H and some agriculture. Again, I did ask the staff to try and spend down some of their designated funds, and so some of that will go to programming, workshops, events, mailings, etc. For example, that one is in the ag program. And again, so there you see a lot of entries for Adirondack Harvest because there's kind of 4 categories. There's the Essex County, there's the regional, there's the festival, and then there's kind of another Lori, I don't know if you want to explain what the other 4th one is.
Well, there's actually there's even more. There's 5. There's a cuisine trail.
Oh,
is
the
a
cuisine
separate
trails
line
also,
item.
yeah.
But other just applies to any of the other counties that are not Essex County. They part of the Adirondack Harvest dues goes into the other account, and they can use that in their counties as needed for promotion or things like that. But they have to go through us to get access to that money.
So that's why you see a lot of there's a lot of things, but it's because some of it is for enrollment fees, some of it is for unrestricted contributions, some of it is from outright fundraising. So that's what all those revenues are. That's what we come up with for revenue. Is that about 1.25 million. And then these are the transfers that we already discussed. And so that's what brings us to that total budget. So then we go through expenses. I will just scroll down through the payroll. There's about 400, 400. I can actually look it up. It's about 400,000 or 460,000 in payroll. And that covers everyone all the way from me to the woman who cleans for us. And so, whoops, let me go back up one. There isn't a subtotal in this report, which I would have liked for you to have seen. But again, some of our expenses, those fringe things are all paid for by Harbor. This is all Cornell. These are all this is all payroll all the way down through here, and then those are some of the fringe things that we do have to pay for: workers' comp and unemployment insurance. And then we go into staff development. I did ask the staff to budget. I feel really strongly about staff development, and that everybody should go find something that makes them excited about their work. So we included that for everyone, including mileage, transportation, lodging, and some meals. It's not huge, but we hope that it makes a difference. For me, it's an issue of retention. I think people need to have something to look forward to and excited about. If some days it's drudgery, so you got to have something inspiring. And actually we're really excited because I think that the most exciting thing is in 2024, Mary, I think, is going to be able to go. There's an international cuisine trails conference in Italy, agritourism conference. So I'm hoping that she can make that happen. I think she's hoping that will happen.
Our board members will be able to get there.
I think you could probably
Italy
sign up if you
cuisine
want.
trail? What? That sounds amazing.
I know. Well, what we can't always do, some ways we can try and do it other ways. I think she'll have an amazing time, and I think she'll bring back all of the amazing things. So, but as I say, I think that everybody should have something really exciting to look forward to, and there isn't always something exciting. So some years, some people take advantage, and some years they don't. But I just want to keep budgeting for it. So we keep going down to the next page. There's a bunch of these things are again, here we go. So here's the publicity category, Adirondack Harvest. This is all for the different aspects of Adirondack Harvest, but then there's all the farm to school, there's just youth and families, there's all kinds of different publicity. Same thing for contracted services, lots of different contracted services. And these are the individual things that we're contracting for, publicizing. No subtotals again, it's not great. If you do see here, this is the SBN, the outsourced services, we're required to have that. That is for our HR, IT, and finance leads that are part of the shared business network. We're obligated to pay for that. Finance managers are half of Laura's salary. We did leave the NCRAT contribution in there. That apparently is not 100% resolved, the NCRAT issue. The new director really wants the EDs from the North Country region to go back to the table. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I think it's prudent to leave it in there. And worst case, we'll reallocate that to something else later, but I think for now we need to leave it there. Commercial horticulture is for the Eastern New York Hort team, so that's our contribution there. Then we have a bunch of line items here for straight ahead travel, some of which is for me to attend the regional their quarterly executive directors conferences that are required. A whole bunch of other mileage for programming, a whole bunch of we're pretty generous with our food for meetings. I think it makes people happy and attend more, and so we try and we budget for that. Quite a bit of which is included in our grant. So if it's a grant funded program at the Grange, we try and include that into that grant budget. Postage and delivery. If you guys see any numbers that stand out to you or I'm going too fast, please slow me down. We do have, so the postage and delivery is, what you would expect, mailers, things to encourage people to go from the mail, printed copy, but we do also have more marketing things that we also do as well. Social media mainly. Let's see, what else do we have down here? This return on that lease is our budget for the copier. We don't have very much in the way of repairs and maintenance. We don't buy a lot to sell. That's what that cost of sales is. We don't have a huge amount of fundraising expenses. There are some associated with the festival or Adirondack Harvest. We do have a lot of supplies, which mostly go to farm to school stuff, kids programs for 4-H, ag in the classroom, taste tests, that kind of thing. And then we have teaching supplies. Again, that's all for our school and after school program, in school and after school and 4-H programming. And then other non-food supplies, same thing, program related. Yeah, so one of the garden supplies is for the bucket gardens that we do. The master gardeners make for the senior program. Then more telecommunications, trips and tours. That's for the again, that's grant funded from Farm Institution, and that one will go down, but you notice this one's going to go up. The new Farmers Market Nutrition Program is going to go up in 2024. And utilities, vehicles. I am really thinking hard about recommending a change in our vehicles. We have 3 vehicles right now, one of which is not used very much. And it seems like maybe rather than having one that's not used very much, we might want to shift and cash that one in and maybe get a bigger vehicle that can be used for programming. Haven't made a decision on that. It's not included in this budget. It's just something to think about long term. Insurance, pretty straightforward. That brings us to the last page, which is There's some things that Laura said Velixo just doesn't get rid of. I don't know why it has beekeeping under licenses and fees, because it's a, when you ask the Velixo to zero out things, oops. Looks like we lost Ashley for a sec. So I don't know why that's in there. We don't do that. We don't need that anymore. And so that brings us down to our total budgeted expenses. So that's where we come up with the actual revenue plus the transfers is how we cover that full amount that we're requesting for the budget. I know that's kind of a lot of details. Any questions? In that case, I'll stop sharing. And if Ashley is there, if you have no more questions, if you want to call for a motion to approve the final budget as recommended, or Daniel, do you make that
Excuse me.
motion? I don't know.
Oh, I thought we
Um,
couldn't do that because we're not in person.
Oh, you're right. You're 100% right. So I guess you could call for a sense of the meeting. And then the executive committee would be authorized to meet in person to finalize the decision.
Though we're not in person, does this qualify because it was a state of emergency? Does this fall into one of those exceptions? No. Okay.
I tried. I couldn't get a specific answer from a human beings, but from the website and from
Okay.
Paul, he said no, but he felt that this was a reasonable and fair alternative because there's not a chance that we're going to get a quorum before January anyway. And you guys do need to feel comfortable with the making a decision this way, but I think that if you aren't comfortable, we have another problem, which means that we have to have a quorum before the end of December.
Yeah, and I sent you all an email who's on the executive committee about that, so we can make a time to meet. So if there aren't any questions on the budget, and I do want to leave space if there are any.
I do too. I know this is not an ideal way to review a $1.3 million budget, but it is only $145,000 more than what you already approved in August for our proposed budget. And the changes are primarily from grant funding and from the salary reduction from not replacing Jessica. The rest of it is all in small categories. I do want you to feel confident, so you can ask me questions now or later, whatever you want. Sense of the
I'm
meeting?
assuming, yeah, I'm assuming the rest of you are in my boat where I'm so trusting and know that Laura has really combed through the numbers and it's been reviewed by Elizabeth and Daniel. And if there isn't any more discussion on that, then we can talk about the grant approval. Does that make sense, Elizabeth? Like the
Sure.
other big item.
Yes. So really, it's pretty simple. Again, the executive committee has to make the final decision, but what in the agenda the second page of the agenda that Lori sent out was you do need to formally accept the FMPP grant that we were awarded and accept that approve that revenue. So again, there's no need for a motion. It's just now's your chance to let the executive committee know if you don't agree. You guys are really quiet. Okay. The next step is executive committee, you're the ones who have to feel comfortable with this. The next step is the same process for this Champlain Valley National Heritage Partnership grant. So that's there's 40,000 for one, and then the total for the others is about 12,000, the other two. So it's $55,000 to $60,000. So you just need to approve the those sources of revenue. And authorize me to go into contract for both of them. Questions? Concerns?
Totally happy to hear questions. I mean, you're probably feeling like I am, where it's no question to approve receiving money.
Okay. I don't have any reason to be concerned about that. I don't. You know, the contracting is the contracting. That's a federal agency in both cases, and we're gonna try. I'll just, but the last one was just I've talked to some of you about it, and I don't know if we're gonna go through. We are eligible for a $500,000 grant for capital improvements. I spent a bunch of time thinking about it earlier. It's a really great fit for us to rebuild the 4-H barns at the fairgrounds, and the Matt Stanley is 100% behind it. I asked a lot of questions. Jim Dugan and Mike Mascarenas, who's the county planner and associate or deputy planner, they're really, really excited about it. But realistically, with so many things that have been going on, I have not been able to complete a proposal because I have never done a construction project at that scale. And it's it's kind of a big deal. There's no money in that RFP for any programming or any personnel. It's just for capital improvements, and it's a really quick application. It's not hard to do, but what is hard is to design a building that is the building that people would want, that the people who have horses would want. A good part of the current barns are not usable. They need to be demolished. It's sad to say. But I want to give people what they want and what will ultimately be used. And I did find an organization that gave me some numbers, and I did talk to Jim Dugan. But it was really based on, I just would like to have more input on for people who might be users, rather than just cram it through. And the proposal would, I mean, the construction would be done, has to be done by 2026. And I can foresee that, with the changes that we're gonna have with 4-H, you know, with the new person, you know, it might be good to have some more input, some more time, and just slow the process down. I regret not taking advantage of it right away, but I also have my plate pretty full. And I expect that we're going to have a lot of more, it's going to take a lot more time when we have the new 4-H person, a new 4-H person. It was just starting from scratch. I mean, we don't know who we're going to have and what they're going to need. So what I guess I'm asking for is authorization to apply. If the deadline is until January 24th. It's rolling. They started accepting applications December 1st. So it's a long shot. But if all the stars aligned, I would love to have your authorization to submit it. The county really wants it to happen. They really, really like the show of support for the facilities and to fix up the fairgrounds and make it a lot more usable. And it just would be so much better for the kids. Literally last year, there was water dripping through the roof on the kids' static exhibits. It was kind of a bummer. And Jessica literally said, people don't want to bring their horses, 4-H families don't want to bring their horses and put them in those barns. That's no good. So any thoughts about that?
Can you clarify? So it's to facilitate a process, not to do the capital upgrades themselves, or it is for the capital upgrades?
I'm sorry, I'm having a really hard time hearing your audio, Jackie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just clarifying it. So is the funding, was the grant be for the process to facilitate the upgrades, or is it for the capital upgrades themselves?
It would be, it's 4 phases. It's demolition, and it's actually just scoping and design, demolition and construction. I guess those are kind of all combined, and then you can have another category if you have to do electrical and plumbing and subcontracts. And Jim Dugan doesn't think that, he thinks that they would, because they're the property owners, they'd be able to do a lot of the subcontracting. So he thinks it's the greatest thing that ever happened. He's very much in favor. And he did sit down and help me a lot, actually, in trying to come up with an initial budget. I mean, literally, he was calculating how much concrete we need. But the other thing is that you can't build a $500,000 demo and new construction and site prep and all that stuff without someone project managing it. And that would have to fall to me because none of the staff can do that. Even if Jim did the bulk of it, he doesn't really have time to do it either, even though he wants that building to be demolished and fixed.
Okay.
Tricia, boy, would I love to add a high tunnel. I would love that. The $500,000 doesn't get you that much in the way, you know, by the time you do the demo and site prep. So the plan that Jim and I were trying to figure out is to build the first component that fixes, like, we don't need as much as what's there because it hasn't even been utilized fully for years, apparently. So fix up the falling down crummy stalls and the leaky roof and get real electricity in there that's safe because it's not currently. And build it like modules so that we could add on. Say we had a T-shaped building and we built the left-hand side or a cross-shaped building and we build one end of it with this money, and then we build a middle section that we could do for demonstrations and small animals, and then we build the right-hand end that would be for like a greenhouse, that kind of thing. Do you see what I mean? And, you know, kind of divide it like that and build one module at a time. I just don't think $500,000 is going to go that far. I think, so yes is the answer. We could, and it would be great. I think it would be amazing. And I think especially when we get over there, they'll be even more open to it.
Yeah, if I could just jump in for a second. I know when we were talking about like designing the new CCE building, and this has been over the past few years that we've talked about this, Trisha, right? Like it would be great for the master gardeners to have a place where they could really work and demonstrate and that sort of thing. And I know that when we were trying to, you know, if the county wants to cut costs on things like this, it's sort of the first thing to go would be a greenhouse or high tunnel. But we also know that, and maybe Daniel can even speak more to this, there's been a lot of resource funding for high tunnels. I mean, NRCS and other things like that. And we did not think it would be a huge problem after we get settled back on the fairgrounds and things like that, that we could then apply for funding to get a high tunnel for, maybe it would be up near our building. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how space is going to work there once we go back, but I know it's still something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. And actually, in thinking about it, this is for capital improvement that is for permanent structures. It can't be for temporary structures. So we could maybe build like a full-on old school greenhouse with this, but we could not build a high tunnel. So Trisha, sorry, I can't hear you. I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Could we do a separate grant is what she wrote in the chat. Maybe that's what she's
well,
asking.
Yes, the reality is the county wants that fairgrounds to be a functioning place where they want to call it the Youth and Agriculture Center. They want it to be what we want it to be. I think it's really just, this is I jumped at it because I want it to be that too. I want us to be ready, not wait until we move over there and in 5 more years after that, build something and then be ready. I want to be ready. I really want to, our resources to be going to the youth programs and the Master Gardener volunteers for, you know, as soon as we can, but we also have to be real. And I'm not a construction manager. I have no experience in construction management, barely can get my own home fixed. So, you know, that's just real, even if Jim is very excited and really wants to help us. So again, for tonight's purposes, just if you will authorize me to apply, if everything can fit into place. I don't know that it can, and I might come back in January and say I was not able to do it because we still have to go through a hiring process. We have a lot of financial stuff to do in January. There's just always big things that have to be done. And this is an add-on. It's a
There may be
great
some value
idea.
actually to finding a person as well and building the momentum, building up to what would be then a capital project like that. I mean, I think I would authorize you to go forward and start now and see how it evolves. But
Well, Thank you. The first step is actually just authorize me to apply because
Yeah.
they might have used up all the money by the end of January. But if they have used up all the money and we do apply in this cycle, we actually can re-enter our application in another cycle if the state government, it's through New York State. If New York State reauthorizes the budget for this fund, this RFP, then we will automatically be able to apply for the next round. But you never know what the state's going to adopt in the way of a budget.
And as Lori mentioned, yes, Tricia, there's the NRCS funds high tunnels, and I think we would be able to get one on site. But given the capital improvements that we are looking to do, we have to think about where that would be located. But all of those things are great ideas. I think we should absolutely move forward. It's exciting, an exciting moment.
Well, I don't want to get the cart out in front of the horse, no pun intended.
True.
But we have to control some of the workload also, to be real.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's good to hear Jim is on board.
Oh, so is Mike Mascarenas. He's all about it. He really wants us to do it. So again, that's sort of just sense of the meeting for the executive committee to decide if you want to authorize that.
Yes.
You can take it up in your in-person meeting.
Yeah, when we have our in-person meeting, we can formally adopt that.
Right. Okay. It's 6:23. Do you want to wrap it up and
I was thinking maybe just like a word from you or Jackie about the strategic planning progress.
Oh,
If
yeah,
you're willing.
sure.
Introduced Ruth Ellen. Yeah.
Jackie, you want me to go?
Sure, I can add in anything.
Okay. I'm very excited. We finally got a contract through PW Wood. Woohoo! Took a long time, surprisingly. So lucky for us, Ruth Ellen had already worked for Jefferson County, and so she knew they were going to eventually approve it. And she got started way before we signed the contract. She has sent a really, really great community survey. She did speak with Ashley and Jackie. You guys can throw your perceptions in. She has designed, I've talked with her twice extensively and emailed also to, she has proposed survey questions to put out to the board, the staff, program participants, community partners, and program advisory committees. So she has a bank of questions. I haven't talked to you about this yet, Lori, because we're going to do it in the beginning of January, but we're going to create surveys. She would like to circulate them the beginning of the second week in January. So it's kind of help us get our year off to a good start. The goal is to get the survey responses back by no later than the end of January. And she will just crunch all those numbers and that data and inputs and then report back to you all to give you an analysis of what she has found out. And she asked yesterday or today, this morning at 8 o'clock, if she sent me the survey questions and asked me to get some feedback from Jackie. And I asked Jackie, well, I mean, actually, Ashley, I think you asked Jackie to be part of the strategic planning process. And I asked Carly if she would, because she was so instrumental in doing the farmland protection plan and has a good nose for what questions are important. And the farmland protection plan does ostensibly act as a strategic plan for that side of the house for agriculture and some food systems work. But what we still really need is to understand the new landscape kind of post-COVID and youth development oriented needs of the community, as well as our senior programs. This population is huge. The population of seniors. And so Ruth Ellen picked up all of that. She really has a really, really good sense from reading. She's read annual reports from the Well-Fed Collaborative, the Community Health Improvement Plan, 80K Action, ANCA, and a whole bunch of other plans. And she has been looking at that side. She's also been looking at some kind of environmental issues, even though we don't currently deal with them, to assess if the community perceives that we should be more involved in energy, climate change, forestry, other things that other associations might be involved in. And I think she'll be able to tell from the questions in the survey whether or not those are things that our county wants or needs, or if those needs are being filled by other agencies. And so she is hoping to have a draft after circulating the results of the surveys, kind of crunching all that and compiling it, review it with you, take it back for more kind of formatting and recommendations, and then having something by the end of March to back to for the board and to review. And so I honestly wasn't sure whether to send those out, Jackie, to you today because it was a crazy day, but also because it's the week before the holidays, or save it till January.
Also, I was offline today, so it wouldn't have mattered to me. But
sorry,
I was off.
what?
I was off today anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you captured that well. I also just wanted to give my 2 cents that I think Ruth Ellen is absolutely fabulous, and fabulous I think really captures her, and she is very on top of it, and I think that she is going to do some really awesome work, and I'm looking forward to what she produces, and if there's just the direction of the organization. And also commend you, Elizabeth, for pushing for a strategic plan, because I think that helps everyone. So hopefully you can hear that. I don't know, maybe my
Yes, we could. Thank you.
webcam is going, I don't know, but that's my 2 cents.
Thanks. Yeah, Ruth Ellen's kind of a dynamo. We're gonna have to slow her down a little bit. She's a
Yeah,
good listener,
I
though.
really,
She's
I
a good
really
listener,
liked her
but
too.
she's a powerhouse.
Mhm. Yeah, super qualified. So what a relief. We got that ball rolling. Good job,
Yeah.
Elizabeth and Jackie.
Thanks.
Mm. I think those are the main points of the meeting, unless anybody else has anything else to throw out there.
I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at the minutes that were provided, but if you want to, if you did read them and you can recommend the executive committee also approve those, and then that's checked off the list. If the executive committee can check it off in December, that's great, because January's meeting is always long because we have a lot of stuff that's the organizational meeting. So any items that can be taken off the January agenda are good.
Do it.
Great. We'll do our best.
Did they have all the minutes, Elizabeth? I know I sent them 2 sets of minutes and you had a third set.
I believe I sent that to the executive committee, correct?
Okay. But the rest of the
right?
board hasn't seen those, right?
Right.
Mm.
So I had to make sure that the people who were at the meeting first approved it before I changed it. So if any of you, the executive committee, have changes, I guess you should send it to the whole board. All it was the recording of the decision to hire Ruth Ellen. That needs to be specifically in a meeting which was held by the executive committee. So I'm not sure. I guess maybe you want me to send it to everybody?
Sure, that'd be great. Just
If
put
you
it on the
didn't,
top of the box there.
if you didn't have any comments, then so basically anybody needs, if all it said was what I just told you, was that the executive committee selected Ruth Ellen Blodgett LLC for a strategic planner. So I will put that out to you all. It'll be Wednesday.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks, Elizabeth. Anybody got any parting words? Happy birthday tomorrow, Elizabeth. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay
Yeah.
dry.
Birthday, Elizabeth.
Yeah, December person.
Full disclosure, it's my birthday today. So I'm gonna go eat cake.
Oh, Jackie.
Oh, happy birthday,
Jackie, how did I
Jackie.
not
Happy
know that?
birthday.
Happy birthday to
Oh my
you both.
Dang. Thanks for telling
Jackie,
us.
another December person. I'm going to go put you and your sister, whose name is
Molly.
Molly, and Jackie Bowen on December 18th. Okay. So that's super fun. Thanks, Chrissy. I hope you all have a really great holiday. It doesn't go unnoticed, the time and when we snap our fingers and you just show up, and it's just the amount of time that you put in is really, really, really appreciated, and all of your It's actually really been nice for me all of this year to be referring to this amazing board. I do it all the time. So
Mm.
thanks.
Thank
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Happy birthdays. Wow.
Happy birthdays.
Happy birthday.
Drink eggnog.
Thanks. I hope you guys all have a great holiday. And Tammy, this one is it for me because I'm not going to be on that executive committee call. So thank you. Thank you.
You're
We'll be
welcome.
talking to you. We'll be talking to you again.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
Tim,
right.
we only have to give you 3 years, and then we haul you right back on. So
Oh,
You just wait. You'll be on that barn building committee. You just wait.
okay. I can do
Nice.
that.
Great.
Right.
All right.
Night.
Bye all.
Bye, everyone.